Ever feel like that line between, what you need and what you want gets kind of blurry?
Yeah.
Today, we're going deep into that whole need versus greed thing.
Okay.
One source even called it a slippery slope to sin. We'll be looking at stories from the Bible, Adam and Eve,
All right.
King David,
Yes.
Judas, to see what they can teach us about ourselves.
It's interesting how this idea of struggling with desire pops up everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just religion either. You see it in philosophy, psychology, even economics. This human thing, wanting more than we need, it's really at the heart of what makes us tick.
So let's rewind all the way back. The Garden of Eden, paradise, right?
Right.
Adam and Eve, they have it all.
Which is what makes that whole forbidden fruit thing so fascinating. It wasn't just about breaking a rule. That fruit, it represented knowledge, good and evil, something they weren't ready for, taking it. It wasn't just an apple. They were messing with perfection because they wanted something that was off limits.
It's like when someone's told, don't even think about that, and then boom, it's all you can think about.
Exactly.
That forbidden thing, it's like it gets more appealing just because you can't have it.
The Garden of Eden story shows us that greed.
Right.
It's not always about stuff. It's more about that drive inside to get what we think we're missing, even when we have everything we actually need.
So it's not what you have, it's what you think you don't have.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump ahead. King David. This is a guy described as, and I'm quoting here, a man after God's own heart. He's got power, wealth, divine favor, literally the whole package.
You'd figure he'd be above this whole greed issue. Makes his story a good warning, though.
Yeah. For those who need a refresher, David and Bathsheba, what happened there?
So he wants Bathsheba, who's married, and it takes him down a bad path. People talk about it like it was this big romance, but it gets pretty messed up. Adultery, cover-ups. He even has Bathsheba's husband killed.
So even someone considered good, chosen by God, can get caught by greed.
And it just snowballs, you see. One bad decision leads to another. Desire turns to adultery, then lies, then murder. Like he had to keep justifying himself, digging himself deeper into this hole he'd made.
It makes you wonder, what kind of accountability did he have? He had advisors, prophets, people who could have stepped in.
That's a really good question. And it makes you think about our own lives, too. Who are the people we trust to tell us the truth, even when it's hard? Do we even have those people?
It makes you think, right? Even people who seem to have their spiritual act together can get tempted, make some seriously bad choices. It all comes back to that accountability thing.
Yeah, for sure. It shows how those little compromises we make, they can turn into big moral messes down the line.
And speaking of moral messes, and maybe a lack of people saying, dude, what are you doing? Oh, let's talk about Judas. Betraying Jesus, your friend, your teacher, for money. That's just, wow.
It's a tough one to grasp, for sure. But here's something interesting. Judas was the one handling money for the disciples. Some scholars think this wasn't just a one-time thing for him. Maybe it was already a pattern.
So greed might have already been an issue. Makes the betrayal even more tragic, if you think about it.
Yeah, the text seems to hint at that. Like he was already headed down that slippery slope. And the saddest part, he gave up Jesus, his whole connection there, for what? A handful of silver. Makes you think of that verse. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world but lose their soul?
It's like in Judas's case, he didn't even get the world out of it. 30 pieces of silver and a whole lot of regret. Which brings up something else important. Greed, it's not just about the material stuff, right? It messes with you spiritually, relationally, makes you compromise your values, hurts the people closest to you. You end up empty.
So true. These stories, even though they're old, they're like these timeless warnings about what greed does. They show us how anyone can fall into that trap. Doesn't matter how rich or famous or even how close to God you are.
Okay, so we've got Adam and Eve giving in, King David with his lust for power and a woman he couldn't have, and then Judas's ultimate betrayal. Heavy stuff, but also feels kind of distant, like ancient history. What's it got to do with us now?
That's the question, isn't it? And this is where it gets really interesting. See, these aren't just ancient stories. They're about the human condition. That hasn't changed much.
So how do we avoid falling into the same traps? How do we make sure we're living on the need side of things, not slipping into greed territory? I'm guessing our source has some thoughts on that. And it does. It actually gives some pretty practical advice. 3 steps for what it calls victorious living.
And I like that they're not some big, complicated ideas, just things we can actually use in our lives.
Okay, I'm listening. What are the steps?
First one, cultivate contentment. It's about learning to appreciate what you have. Okay. Instead of always looking at what you don't have, finding joy right now, not chasing after something you think will make you happy.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, like, if I just had this, then I'd be happy.
Totally. And that's why this next step matters. Practice generosity, shifting that focus from getting to giving, from me to we. When you're busy helping others, your own wants seem smaller.
Makes sense. And it doesn't have to be about money either, right?
Yeah.
Generosity can be all sorts of things.
Exactly. Your time, your skills, just listening to someone, it's about adding value to other people's lives.
So we've got contentment, generosity.
Yeah.
What's the third step for victorious living?
Accountability. This one's tough, but important. We all have blind spots, right? We need people who can say, hey, maybe not, when they see us going down the wrong path. Lovingly, of course.
Like a workout buddy, but for your soul.
Yeah.
Someone to keep you on track spiritually, emotionally. Point out when you might be headed for trouble.
Exactly. Those trusted friends, mentors, whoever it is, they help us make good choices, even when it's hard.
So contentment, generosity, accountability. Someone's listening thinking, okay, great, but where do I even start? What would you tell them?
Pick one. Focus on that. Don't try to change everything at once. That's overwhelming. Make one small change. Stick with it. It'll make a difference. It's about progress, not perfection.
Makes me think of that frog in boiling water thing. You know, throw a frog in hot water, it jumps out. But warm water, slowly heating up, it doesn't realize it's in trouble until it's too late. That's how sneaky greed can be.
Isn't it, though? Little compromises, tiny choices we make without thinking. That's how it gets you.
How do we avoid being that frog? How do we stay alert?
Self-awareness, I think, being able to ask yourself, why do I want this? What am I really trying to fill here? And having people around you who'll help you answer honestly, even when it's uncomfortable.
Love that. So, listeners, something to think about this week. What are the warm waters in your life? Where are you tempted to compromise, to ignore that little voice saying, maybe not? And who are the people who can help you stay out of hot water? Something to reflect on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.